Okay, everyone, welcome for today's council meeting for Thursday, April 3rd, 2025, 6:30 PM. Roll call, please.
Mayor Alma Beltran,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Sabrina Rodriguez,
Present.
Councilmember Juanita Molina,
Present.
Councilmember Diego Garza,
Present.
Councilmember Catherine Solorio, Treasurer Ishmael Spandola.
Present.
Please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so we move on to additions or deletions, and we're deleting item number
Item 12?
12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then item 6 is information only.
Item 6 is and you'll be bringing that back for when it's an action item?
We can if that's the request of the council.
That's a contract, so if you're going to terminate or no longer have that agreement, we need to discuss it, and also, like we approved it, we need to terminate. That's how it's always been done, so I don't understand why it's changing now.
Well, if it's
It's always
if
been
that's the
done like
wishes
that.
of the council, I suppose.
It's always been done that in transparency. I don't know where this discussion was taken out and discussed out of the council meeting, because as far as I know, we didn't say we were terminating. We gave you direction to negotiate or come to the council with whatever solution. And this is the solution. If it's the solution, then it should be transparent and also have the contract and what you are planning or proposing to recommend. That's all I'm asking.
Okay, I'll provide information on that today, and then
Bring it for the next meeting. Thank
that
you.
is the wishes of the council.
Bring it for the next meeting. And if the council can weigh in or not weigh in, that's up to them at that time. That's my request.
Okay.
Thank you. So now we can move on to the next item, and the next item is public comments.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Joshua Hernandez. I'm acting as Mr. Hernandez here, Manuel Hernandez over here with Emo Construction LLC, consultant. And we just had a couple of questions regarding last meeting's discussion and rejection of his bid that was successfully won, and reasons why it was rejected, so on and so forth.
There was no reason they gave other than just to go out to bid again. So there was no, and I believe even our council asked what was the reason for the rejection, and the rejection was that they just wanted to go out to seek other bidders.
Okay, so was it an arbitrary decision at the end of the day?
That was the only discussion that we had at the time, and you can address that since you were the one questioning that.
Yes, I'm Megan Baranian, acting city attorney. This is public comment time, and your comments are certainly appropriate, but any questions that you have, you can direct them to the city manager at another time and have a response back if you wish. But this is strictly for public comments.
And this is a public comment, so you have that authority as well. So if you want to ask that question, you can ask it here, but you can also follow up with a letter to the city manager if you want to put it in writing and requesting as to define why the bid was rejected. So that is your right, and I'm not going to deny you that. As to answer the question as to what happened that day, as I said, our council asked at that time what was the purpose for the rejection, and the rejections, and you can actually go back to the video, and the rejection was to look for other bidders, to seek other bidders. That was the only reason that it was rejected. There was no other actual reason that was given at that time.
And the reason why this is justifiable for public discussion is he is a member of Parlier. He's a resident here in Parlier.
Correct.
Ms. Catherine Solorio was very quick to
make a motion. Correct.
So we just want further transparency, not just for us, but as well for the public as public citizens of Parlier. As you mentioned, your justification as to why you wanted to move forward was it put at jeopardy the $2 million grant that was presented to the city of Parlier. And the continuation of bidding would put those funds at jeopardy.
Correct. Yeah, so my suggestion would be, your next step would be, as the council had advised, is to put it in writing to our acting city manager, and then she could respond to your request as to justify why, and we can go from there. You're welcome. Alrighty, so now we can move on to the next, oh, sorry. Oh, I think it's informational, so you can still comment on that informational item that's on items. Still on, it hasn't been eliminated, it's just informational, so we're not taking action, that's all we're not doing. Okay. So, any other public comments?
Good evening, City Council members. My name is Fernando Bañuelos. I'm from Parlier. And I just had a question, Mr. Andrade. Because I know we want to try to go through the process and how do you get the,
Okay, is there, there's no Andrade up here, so who? Oh, you mean you want to direct a question to an actual contractor? You will only address the council, so if you want to have any questions or concerns, you can address them to the city manager, and you can put it in writing as well, or just address the question to the city manager.
I had a question.
Go ahead.
I had to turn to him to make
But it goes over here.
sure that I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Cerda, is, what's the process again? I know last time we talked about the process of getting a bid on the facial. So number one, who receives the actual bids and who puts it, who seals it?
Staff. I think you can answer.
I can provide all that to you if you want to come in and see me tomorrow, and I'll answer all your questions.
I think a lot of people have been asking that.
And I think it was explained that day too. I had Javier actually go over it. So if you have any other further questions, you can ask them and come in to see our acting city manager, and he can address those questions and concerns. And it was addressed at that time.
No, it wasn't. I'm just asking them.
I don't, you can come back and get clarification again, so we can simplify it again.
I'm directing to him.
There's a formal process, and actually, our city engineer, he actually answered that question at the last meeting, and he was
Yes, he did.
he was pretty thorough. How the process, right? And that's the part of the process that he explained. Like I said, tomorrow, if you want to come in, I'll be available for you. I'll make myself available for you.
And he
we'll
can go
answer
over it with
that.
you
We'll
again.
go over all that. I'll answer
Javier,
every
can
question
you
have.
actually come in tomorrow as well, or maybe over a phone call? I'm not sure what your schedule looks like. So you can explain to Mr. Banuelos the process one more time? Thank you. Yes, it is one more time. I'm sorry, one more time. So if there is no other question, then we can move on. Is there any other questions from the public? Hearing none, then we can move on to the next item, and that next item is consent calendar. Is there any item on the consent calendar that any council member would like to pull at this time? Any from the public? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve item number one? Yeah, motion from Diego, and do I have a second? Second from Sabrina. All those in favor? Motion carries 5 yes. And we can move on to the next item, and that is regular business, consideration and necessary action for approval of extension of the approved site plan for the Parlier Family Apartments, Danco Communities on Tuolumne Ave, presented by Jeff.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council, members of the public. The item before you tonight is relatively simple. Back in 2021, the City Council approved a site plan for an 81-unit apartment complex on the vacant property between Manning and Tuolumne, between the two other existing apartment complexes on the north side there. And subsequent to that, the initial source of funding fell through. Another partial source of funding for the project was acquired by the city. And in 2023, a revised site plan was brought back that reduced the number of units from 81 to 55. The city council approved the site plan for that at the time. Since then, the applicant, Danco Communities, has continued to pursue alternate forms of funding, including tax credit allocation and home funding, as well as other HCD-sponsored initiatives. At this time, well, let's go back to 2023. The site plan approval was valid for 2 additional years, and it would expire April 6th of this year. So the applicant did timely submit a request for an extension. Per the previous conditions of approval, the city council can grant a total of 1 additional year of extension, making the site plan valid through April 6th of 2026. At that time, if there isn't any kind of progress on the project, as in no additional funding has been acquired, or if they have acquired funding but not pursued building permits and plan review, then there is no option for additional extension. In which case, if they wanted to continue with the project, they would have to bring it back anew for full site plan review again to the city council for your discretionary action on that. So at this time, they're requesting that 1-year extension that the condition allows them to request and that the city council can grant. Importantly, there is a PLHA grant in the amount of $5 million that is active for that project. And it's very vital to consider that if the site plan extension is approved, that the city does not do anything to draw down on the $5 million of funding, because in the event that any of that money is spent and then the project doesn't proceed, the city would be responsible for paying back the entire $5 million, including any money that had been spent, and that would likely come out of the city's general fund. So again, if they can acquire the additional funding, then the city can start spending the $5 million at that point once the project actually moves forward. But until that point, we would just ensure that none of that money gets spent, so the city isn't on the hook to pay it back. I'd be happy to take any questions from the council. Simple request to extend it by 1 year.
Yeah, I think that's okay for the extension as long as no money gets drawn down. It's been 3 years since they proposed this project and they haven't moved forward at all. So I don't see how they can move it within 2 years if they weren't able to do it in 3. So I would be okay to extend the actual application, but no money to be drawn down. That's what I feel comfortable with.
Nothing's changed on the plan, it's just the extension, correct?
Correct. It's exactly the same plan that the city council approved 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's just because it's expiring.
Yeah.
So,
Correct.
Yeah, I would just feel comfortable with them just, if they're gonna try, let's try for the 4th, it'll be the 4th year. And so if they don't, as long as we don't utilize any of those funds, doesn't get drawn down, then that's gonna be on them. And at least the city won't be at a loss, because in the past, they would draw down the money and then it wouldn't happen, and the city's obligated to pay it all back. Plus, like Jeff said, whatever was used as well. Okay, I don't have any questions. Any questions from the council? Any from the public? Okay, hearing none. So do we have a motion to approve? Motion.
Second.
By Kathy, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Janie. All those in favor?
Aye.
A motion carries. 5 yes. So now we have, the next item is for the resolution for the noise nuisance, Chief?
Ordinance. Yes, Mayor, Council, members of the community. Before you, this is the second reading. We are asking waiving of the second reading for the amendment of our noise nuisance ordinance. Currently, our noise nuisance ordinance is outdated and in need of revamping. Therefore, the city recommends council consider approving amending the city noise nuisance ordinance. Staff has conducted several town hall style meetings. Feedback from residents indicating regulations are inadequate. Instances of excessive noise, particularly during late hours, have resulted in increased complaints impacting quality of life in our neighborhoods. Feedback has generally been supportive, with many residents expressing a desire for more robust noise regulation to enhance their living environment. to provide a clear objective standard for evaluating noise complaints and a calibrated decibel reader with quantified noise levels. Decibel limits will be established for different zones, residential, commercial, industrial, etc., to ensure that noise levels remain within acceptable thresholds. Time restrictions will be further regulated during nighttime hours to reduce disturbances during quiet hours. Certain activities known to generate excessive noise will require permits and adherence to designated noise limits. Clear penalties for violations will be established, including fines and potential suspensions of permits for repeat offenders. The proposed amendments to the noise nuisance ordinance will provide a more structured and effective approach to managing noise disturbances within our community. It is recommended that the council approve the resolution to amend the noise nuisance ordinance as outlined in this report. There is a small, minimal fiscal impact, and that is for the purchase of a decibel reader. The decibel reader with the calibrator is estimated to be between $500 to $600 for each instrument, and currently we anticipate purchasing 2 instruments.
And how will you be notifying the public? Are you gonna put it on your social media page and
Yes,
With the-
yes.
of the
So
new changes?
once it's approved, tonight we will publish that social media platform on city and police department Facebook and notify the community. And then after 30 days, it goes into effect, and then we will be able to utilize that new ordinance and the decibel reader.
And I think you said there was a, where there's also a permit process. that they
Right,
can
right.
actually-
It's, we still have the same permit process in place.
Okay.
It's just a little, it's more strict now. So there's the guidelines for that, and having it suspended or a little more robust.
Okay.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
And then, Chief, just a question. This is all for just nighttime or all day?
No. This applies to day and night. It's just that the activity for loud noise typically occurs at night. Not to say it doesn't happen during the day, but it can be enforced anytime during the day or night.
Just so that the residents know, because I know I've gotten a lot of calls when it's like 4 o'clock and they're getting told not to have the music on. But I
Right.
just want the people to know.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it depends on their neighbors. If their neighbors are good and they have that communication, normally they don't call. It's only if the neighbors call. It's not like the officers
if-
are not gonna be out there looking for noises.
Well, there was like, in one night, I got like 3 calls for the same, different parties, but the same, thing that the cops went. So it was just like,
But normally it's based on complaints, right? I mean, they don't just go looking for noise. I mean, I hope
Yeah,
not. 'Cause it
actually
takes
the-
a lot for just.
Actually, it's meant to be proactive as well as reactive. So if there's a large band, and it could be
Well, yeah, I
it could
get
be
that.
in mid afternoon, if it produces noise that is discomforting to the neighbors and the quality of life is impacted, then we can.
Which it
initiate.
justifies when they would call, but I just
Yeah.
hope that they're not focused just on
No,
that, because
it's-
there's
it's-
more going on than
The-
just.
Correct. There are a lot of priorities here. However, we do have some repeat offenders that continue to engage in that activity.
So that's more
that's
kinda
more
like-
the focus of the strength of this ordinance and the spirit of it.
That makes sense.
Chief, so how is it gonna go about if they wanna have a live band?
Right.
How exactly is that gonna work
So
to the
live
constituents?
bands have to be in an enclosed building
Okay,
in order to suppress that sound. So sound mitigation, the walls and the roof and the ceiling, usually it suppresses. But
So-
they still cannot exceed the decibel level that is established for a residence or industrial or commercial area. But they can, in the ordinance, it has to be an enclosed dwelling or structure.
so does a garage count as that?
Sure. It's
Yep.
enclosed.
Okay,
Sure.
just to clarify to the constituents.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes, and
Any music, as long as it doesn't, if it
Exceed
reaches that
the
decibel or
decibel.
exceeds it, that's what they focus on. They don't look at indoor, outdoor, or wherever.
Yeah, so anyway, I just had something to say. I just want to thank the community.
Open it up for the public,
Well,
because it's a
I'm not-
public hearing.
I'm the only one that hasn't talked, Alma.
I know, I'm
Excuse
not
me,
saying
Mayor.
because you're not gonna talk. I said, I still need to open it up for
Okay,
the
so
public.
I'll do it short. Thank you.
you.
So I just want to thank the community for meeting at these meetings. These are very important because when we have concerns, about our different ordinance. It's very important that the community comes to our meetings when they're being provided. So you have the voice. You are the ones that say, hey, I don't like this or change that. The decimal that was done during the meetings that we were being conducted for changing the ordinance for the noise. It's really important to have our community input. So I know one of our meetings, there was only one resident there. So they had to cancel and we had to come back again. And I'm glad that more residents showed up and they were able to put their input and about the decimals. That was really important because sometimes we felt that officers go up to an event and they're like, if I might hear it louder than you. So doing this, it's gonna take that off the officer. Well, the officer, he thought it was loud, but it wasn't loud. So, but I really thank the community that came out, that attends these meetings to change some of our ordinance that are really kind of out of date. And that's all I want to say. Thank you so much.
Okay, now I'm going to open it up for a public hearing, so anybody for the public can address this ordinance. Public hearing is now open. Thank you. That's what the public hearing is for, yes.
I understand that. Thank you. Chief, maybe you might answer the question is, sometimes, in front of my house, I'll get a pickup, and it is booming and booming and booming, and sometimes they even park and you can't hear anything. Would that ordinance pertain also for moving vehicles?
It does. There's actually a subsection in there for vehicles as well. So only loud noise coming from vehicles that are traveling or parked, it does apply to that, to those situations as well. Yeah.
So as citizens of Florida, what can we do?
Yep.
To address that? Do we call the police officers?
Yeah, just report it, and they'll generate a call log at dispatch, and the officer should be dispatched out, and they'll handle the situation. The decibel reader, like the mayor mentioned, it's so right now it's the officer's discretion. Issue a citation for loud noise nuisance that's unreasonable, and because like Councilmember Molina mentioned, everybody interprets loud noise differently, so the decibel reader creates consistency. So it's no longer that discretion; it's what the decibel reader says. So.
My last question would be, thank you for answering that. My last question would be is, I live about a block away from this residence, and every week they have music every week, and I can hear it maybe a half a block, maybe a block and a half. Can it also, someone call it in and say, hey, guess what? It's like 2 blocks away and I can still hear it.
Yeah, as long as it's creating an impact on your quality of life and it's excessive and unreasonable, it's not objective, then absolutely once again the decibel reader would tell all, and we'll certainly respond and handle the situation.
Okay,
Sure.
All right, is there any other questions, comments? Go ahead.
Chief, I just want to know, see, we got a minimum of decibels. What is on mine? I haven't read that one.
Yes, the ordinance, there are different decibel levels for different areas, so commercial, residential, and industrial. And I think it's at, I don't have the ordinance right in front of me, but it's anywhere between 80 decibels. In some areas, it's at night it gets lower, 70, between 65 and 70, because there's an expectation of that residents are sleeping during that time, so the decibel is even lower to allow for that quality time. But, yeah. Oh, yeah, no.
Is there any other comments?
Thanks.
Bring them in the community center. It's indoors.
Hearing none, this hearing is closed now, so do we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Diego, do we have a second?
Second.
By Janie, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5 yes. Okay, now we can move on to the next item. The next item is, let me see, the consideration and necessary action on entering any partnership with Self-Help. Chief, do you have that?
Yes, Mayor, Council, members of the community, before you is a staff report recommending entering into an agreement with Self-Help Enterprises for the administration and management of our 2023 Cal Home Loan Grant And it's a $3 million grant that was awarded to the city of Parlier. The funding requires a degree of expertise and skilled training to administer and maintain that grant. And so to create a more efficient and streamlined approach to rolling out that grant, we've summoned the help of Self-Help. Self-Help Enterprises has a long history of administering these grants for other cities, and they're very reputable and credible. They've actually helped the city in the past, and we've had very positive results. And because city has a limited staffing, this is an ideal situation, and they are available to help us with the approval of this agreement. So with that, Self-Help will provide all the necessary service to fully execute the funding in compliance with federal, state, and city guidelines. City will benefit from this partnership to provide residents with efficient loan processing. It is recommended that council approve staff to enter into a partnership with Self-Help to fully manage and administer the 2023 $3 million Cal Home Grant Award. However, I do want to note that there is a fee associated with. So when we enter into this grant, and because this particular grant, typically there are administrative fees, 5 to 10%, that allow for the administration of that, which offsets the costs for this type of service. Unfortunately, this particular grant, after we reviewed it further, there are no administrative percentages to offset those costs. So this would be a cost to the city. The cost is a $60,000 fee to roll out and administer the award. In addition to that, there's another agreement, and that's for the portfolio portion of this. So the loan, to actually continue to maintain the loan and ensure that there are quarterly and annual reportings that are actually mandated by the state. So that we are not in non-compliance with that, they will continue to monitor that. And that additional fee is $12 to $15 a month for each loan. So it just depends on how many loans we get. So if we get 10 loans,
They maintain them.
yeah. And so generally we anticipate with $3 million at a $75,000 ceiling, that's probably like anywhere about 25 loans is probably the max that we can give. So at $12 a month for 25 loans, I think it comes out to about $33,000, $3,500. So it's not much, but I think the benefits that we get from that are really significant.
Well, we used to have Self-Help before, so it's not
Right.
it's not new to the city.
Right.
When it went away, I don't know, but I'm not sure if back then they did get the administrative costs. So have you guys looked into it already?
Yes,
And-
no, we went through it thoroughly, and we did talk with Self-Help, who are the experts, and they do this all the time. They identified that this particular grant does not have that. Normally they do, not this one. But there are other ways to recoup and recover those costs. I think our finance director
Is
can
looking
speak
into
on
it?
that.
Okay.
Yes, so whenever we have these properties built, it all comes back with property taxes, and for years and years. And so that's really when we're gonna get our money back. But more importantly, like Chief mentioned, we want to ensure that reporting, we're in compliance, and that's where really we are
Yeah.
insured, basically.
So in reality, we don't get anything extra. It's just going to be the property tax that we currently get and that we were expecting anyway, which is helpful for our police department and other departments that we recover those funds for public safety and the fire department. But it's better that we actually do this, even if it's going to cost us, because it has been a problem. We can't get the guidelines done, and it's been already 2 years. So, yeah, I think that it's important. I did meet with Self-Help at my last conference that I went down south, and they're more than willing to help in whatever other services that we can actually utilize them for. So I think it's important for us to have something, because there is residents that are in apartments that are probably looking into a home now, and there is no help. USDA was one of the things that they would actually rely on when it's not under this grant. the first-time homebuyer assistance program, but because of what's happening with the federal government, those funds are not available anymore. At least not for this year, maybe next year. So this is the only funding that is there for now.
Right.
So I'm in favor as long as we can get that and the backing and get everything done the proper way. I don't see anybody complaining about that. Any questions?
Chief, what's, we already, 2 years have passed. What are we looking at now so the constituents and the community could know?
Well, once this is approved tonight, tomorrow we ratify it with Self-Help Enterprises, and then the process is underway. So it shouldn't be much longer than that. They've assured me that they're efficient and they can move quickly on this, because I did explain that it's been some time that we've been rolling this out. It's been
2
and
years.
so we're anxious to move it along. This way, it gives our residents an opportunity to purchase a home, ADUs, and first time home buyers, of course. But,
Yeah, it's been 2 years, and I think it's important that they have control. I know that you guys were trying to figure out a way that we could do it here at the city.
It's
There is
very complex, very
Nobody
complex.
experienced enough to be able to handle that kind of work.
It's a
And if
lot.
we have issues with just backup, that's more, more documents, and it's a lot of more documents that are required by the state. So I think leave it to the ones that are experienced in that. And
It'll keep us in good standings with the state for future
and they're going to
awards
take care
as
of the
well.
guidelines and everything, because that's one of the things that still can't come, and I mean, it still has to come back to us to get it approved and then go back to the state and they approve it.
Right.
So even though self-help is helping, they still have to bring those guidelines to us so that we can approve them, because it got rejected, the last one that did get approved. So now it's got to go back to to us for us to approve, then back to Sacramento. Sacramento reviews it, make sure that it's within their standards, and then approve it if it's within their standards, which they will, I'm sure, get it right because they are experienced in that. So if there's no other questions, okay. Go ahead.
Questions on, clarification on whether it's a grant for the city or a grant for the constituents that will be receiving.
The grant comes to the city, but the residents here or anybody that's applying for a home here is eligible to apply.
So I represent many residents here that purchase homes here in the city of Parlier. And I've seen these programs in the past. My biggest concern is one, there's income restrictions to them, and then secondly, these loans that they give, they don't explain to the public clear enough that it usually comes in the form of a silent second. And I just want to get a little more clarification on what that entails for future home buyers here in Parlier.
I think they
So
would probably go
that's-
over
yeah,
that, right?
actually, because of and that's exactly why we went outside to bring in experts and skilled labor in this particular field, because they have proven over the years that efficiently and conforming to all the guidelines and educating the community and the buyers as well, that they've proven themselves to be credible and reputable. So we expect them to provide that type of education and information to all the buyers. But yeah, like the mayor said, it's available to all the residents. You apply, and there are guidelines. There are guidelines regarding income, so not everybody qualifies. And if you do qualify, and you qualify for different amounts, and the ceiling on that is up to $75,000. You may qualify for less, but no more than $75,000.
Yeah, and you're right. I think it is important for them to know that it's not free money.
Correct.
Because nothing in life is for free.
Right.
And sometimes they misunderstand that, or it's not been explained thoroughly enough for them to understand that that's something that's still going to be at the back end of the loan.
Okay.
So that way maybe you can make sure that self-help explains that to them.
Yes, when we advertise it and put it out, which it'll be on, we'll notify the community. We'll make sure that that's part of the information.
Perfect. And I feel like maybe this is a discussion for another day, but possibly in the future, we can even hold a seminar for the public of those who are interested. I myself am a licensed realtor here in the state of California, and I would be happy to explain all the benefits of not just home ownership, but taking advantage of these opportunities that self-help is
Oh, that's
guaranteeing.
good.
So
Then maybe you can set up a
Yeah.
meeting with
Yeah, we can hold a workshop
acting
or-
city manager, and whenever he has a workshop, he can reach out to everybody that's interested in participating.
absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay.
And Chief, just to make sure, because on the recommendation, it's not just for actual new homes, it's for ADUs and junior ADUs as well.
Right.
Those are separate fundings.
There's it's a $3 million award. $2 million is first time home buyer. The other $1 million is for ADU and JADUs.
Okay, I just want to make sure that, 'cause on the top part, it doesn't say anything
Yeah.
about ADUs, but on the recommendation, it does say ADUs.
Okay.
And I just want to make sure that the public knows that
Yeah.
the $3 million is not all for just
Right.
the first time
Dedicated
home
to-
buyer. It's for
It's
the
divided up.
ADU and junior ADUs as well.
And just to let them know that they can come in and still apply because they don't know whether they qualify for or not. And there's two funds. Yes, there is two funds. There's funds for the ADU and also for the down payment assistance program. And they also have to understand that if it's a home that is not a new home, it has to be approved by the state. The state is the one that makes the decision whether that home is eligible for that program or not.
Question for Chief. Has the ground been tested? I believe the apartment's going to be by the other apartments over there. Is that where it's going to be located?
What? No,
You're on
no.
that's not a subject that we're talking
Oh,
about.
no,
We're
no.
talking about the first time home buyer assistance program.
Okay, it's
We're
not
talking
where-
about a loan that residents can apply for.
Okay.
And the city will provide them with funding to purchase a new first-time home buyers to buy a home or an ADU unit. That's what we're talking about.
So on those first-time home buyers, are they going according to how much income
It's
you're
based on
making?
income, yes. The guidelines are established by the state, and we actually facilitate that as well. But that's one of the guidelines, yes.
So is it also like it was before? Let's say you're not making that much money, and your payment's going to be according to how much you're making?
Yes, there's a formula and a ratio how they work it out. Of course, that's why we're bringing in self-help, because they have that skilled staff to figure that out. Yeah, there's a formula for it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other?
I just want to tell you that it is a good idea to go with self-help, because before it was a lot of mistrust on who were getting the loans and the help. And it was a lot of mistrust about my brother, my nephew, getting only the money and nobody else was getting any money. So I really appreciate that effort.
Thank you. Is there any other questions? Okay, hearing none. So do we have a motion to approve resolution number 2030? It's supposed to be 2025-30, but it's backwards. Okay.
Motion.
Motion by Diego, second by Janie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5 yes. Okay. Now we can move on to the next item, and that's the term, well, it's an informational, sorry.
Yes. Mayor, council, residents of Parlier, before you is informational only staff report regarding two locations, city-owned buildings, and that's 741 Tulare and 580 Tulare. The contracts that were brought before the council in the recent past due to the expiration of the contract and the renewal of the contract. So there's been discussions with both parties to renew the contract. However, during that time, because there was building inspections conducted on both buildings, it was determined that both buildings were in a condition that appeared to present a health and safety issue. Actually, both buildings don't have air conditioning or heating. 741, the gas was shut off in one of the buildings. There's two structures on that lot. There are issues with electrical, exposed wiring, and like I said, and we also identified that both of those locations for that type of residency or occupancy are non-conforming to zones, so they're not in the right zone. In addition to that, the contract requires that the tenant, and I'll read it, the passage under Section 9 of Utilities. It says, tenant shall pay all charges for water, sewer, gas, electricity, telephone, and all other services and utilities used by tenant and the leased premises during the term of the lease, unless otherwise expressly agreed in writing. So that part of the agreement both parties have not been in compliance with. However, there was an indication that there was an agreement with the former city manager. There was nothing in writing, though, but so it was taken into consideration.
I get that. You already had explained that the last time too, but my question that I had asked you earlier in the charges for the 14,000
Yes.
a year, and you said you were going to look into it because
I
it
did.
doesn't make any sense if there's no PG&E, if there's no air conditioning that's being utilized, how is it at 1,000 a month make any sense for a a building
Yeah.
like that? And I explained to you earlier that my understanding is that all three buildings are in that one bill. That's how it's been presented to us before in the past with our our previous finance directors. And so it's not split in different bills, just like I would get a bill, you would get your bill. But because it's a three city buildings, it's all in combination. So it makes sense that three buildings are 14,000 probably a year, which still is outrageous to me for when there's no AC and there is no gas, which I don't know about the gas bill. But the other concern that I have is that the wires that are also an issue, the Civic Center should also be shut down, because if it's a actual concern, we should not be using that building for any services to the community for any reason, because if that concern lies there with the other two buildings, with these wires that are pretty low, and I've seen them, I know which one you're talking about, it's in the middle between both buildings. So if there's a concern with the two buildings on one side, there should be a concern with the other side as well. And if the issue is that you're concerned with the safety, public safety, well, then we need to also address the actual civic center that should not be utilized right now until you find a solution for all three buildings of what's the next course of action. Because my thing was with this whole situation that it was discussed. The direction was to give you, the directive was for you to go and negotiate on what would be discussed and what will you come to a solution. You did explain to me earlier that that Bambi's was refusing to sign the bill, well, not the bill, but the contract, because it was in connection with a $14,000 bill. And which I wouldn't sign blindly to something that I have no idea what's the bill. They never received a bill, because I asked about that too, of what their portion was. It was just, you owe $14,000 and this is your bill. And anyone with any business-minded person will not just agree to sign and pay for something like that when nothing has been provided to them throughout that whole entire time that they've been there occupying that location. Now, it's not my responsibility to make sure that staff does that and gives them the bills that they are entitled to pay. I do know that they were coming here. I asked Bambi's as well, and they were paying the water bills. That I do know. And our last finance director would always confirm that, because this conversation is not the first time that it's come up. So my question to you would be, how do you justify just giving them a $14,000 bill without any backup to it?
So, and I'll answer those questions. So first of all, the Civic building, which is 745 Tulare, which is right next to 741, has not been inspected. So I don't know that those conditions exist.
And they do.
Okay,
I've been there.
so I'll have it inspected. Secondly, the
Just
bill.
sorry to interrupt you on that. The reason I'm saying is because the wires that we're talking about, it's not in the buildings. It's outside of the buildings.
Okay.
So if you're going to use that excuse for the other two locations, then you need to also be mindful of the other property, because you have people that rent that center for their events. So last we need to hear is that somebody got injured because of those wires.
Sure.
So if you're going to use that excuse for those two buildings, then you need to also shut down the other one.
Okay, and I'm just bringing legitimate reasons. I'm not bringing excuses. It's a legitimate concern. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I'm saying it as an excuse, not to insult you, but it's because to me it sounds like an excuse, because if it's two buildings and there's three, but you're only going to tag those two buildings but not the other one, they're in the same location, that's where it seems like an excuse
I wasn't aware
to
of
me.
that, and it has not been inspected. But let me share with you what I got from today. So today, Finance Department provided me with the billing, the electrical billing for 741 Tulare and 741 and a half. So there are two structures on that building that's occupied by Bambi's Rescue. And those two residential, and they're dwellings, they're single-family dwellings, one-story dwellings, and between both of those, for 1 year, from March of last year till the end of March of this year, for both buildings, the electricity bill is $13,195, and that's for both buildings, and that's the $14,000 that it comes up to. So
But that's
the
where I'm
bill
saying
is true.
That's where, aren't you wanting to
So-
find out why it's
Right.
14,000 for a building that doesn't even have air conditioning?
It's two buildings.
They're not being utilized every
I-
day.
okay. I'm just sharing with you what the
but
city's
I
paying.
asked
This is
you
what we're
earlier-
paying.
What I asked you
Yeah.
earlier was that to verify that with PG&E, because
Right.
it does not make any sense. If I would receive a $14,000 bill and I had two homes on my property, I would want to question that. I'm not just going to say, oh, it's 14,000, I'm going to pay it. I know that what the city doesn't really verify any of that, but maybe we should, because it doesn't make any sense.
So I also had them pull the electricity bill for 745 Tulare, which is a civic center, which is right next to it. And they are separate bills. And that bill throughout the year for electricity is only $2,096. But altogether
But
with services.
see how it doesn't make
Well,
sense?
Well, because
Being utilized.
if they're being occupied all the time,
But the
there
civic
is a
center
difference.
is being utilized more.
No.
Yes, you have your events. We've had the warming center.
I'm sorry.
Let me finish and I'll
It-
give you the
no,
floor.
it doesn't make
Yes,
sense.
Let me,
Because
fi-
they
Sabrina,
are being occupied.
Sabrina,
There's people in
Sabrina,
there,
Sabrina, I will
and we've
give you the
paid that.
floor as long as I finish. Give me the opportunity to finish. You're not letting me finish.
It doesn't make sense
You
that you're
can
saying
say
they're not
your
occupied.
piece.
They are
Okay,
occupied.
you can say your piece
Yeah.
after. Please.
Well, no, it doesn't make
I'm
sense.
just-
It's false
let
information.
Me finish.
It's false
no, it's not.
information.
You guys. No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It's
I
not.
live down the street. It's false
You know what?
information.
It's obvious that you guys
false
are always
information.
have been targeting
Yes,
this
yes,
organization.
according to
and
you, yes.
yes, it is because you have no problem with other things that have been done there.
And
and
exactly.
to me, it's okay. Let's just get to the point. I have the floor. I run this meeting.
Oh, yes, we know.
Respect
We know.
me for that.
Yes.
And I will give you the floor once I'm done. You guys don't like me when I interrupt you, but it's okay when you always interrupt me, because you guys always do it to me. So that is the problem. You just jumped in and I was talking to him because I was talking to him about the actual bill, and you didn't even let me finish that. So it's not false. How are you going to be okay with paying $14,000 when, let me ask Bambi's, can you take come up to the podium?
We're not doing that yet. We're not
Yes,
doing that yet.
I run the meeting. I have a question. It is about, the question is.
Mayor,
It-
excuse me.
No, it is a question.
Point of order.
It's a question. Megan, stop.
No, the point of order is that all of you have opportunities to make comments, and then there can be public comment that's information only. And so while I respect the fact that you have a question.
I have a question.
But you should let your colleagues
Okay, they can speak,
first.
but then I'll bring it to you with that question.
You can
Thank
return to that.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Well done.
They
Thank
can.
you.
Yeah, but wait, let them ask their question and I'll bring it back to you.
Thank you very
With the
much.
question. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Megan. Thank you for clarifying that. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, so that bill, it was provided. Those are the facts. I have 2 dwellings on mine. My parents do. Sounds about right. I do not have central heating and air, and it sounds about right because you do use electricity daily. Am I there all day? No. But I know these buildings are occupied daily, not by humans, but of course for our little fur friends. And you have to keep something on for them. I get it. But you're not going to sit here and try and say it's not being occupied. It is being occupied. Those are about the right rates. That is what we pay on a yearly for properties with 2 dwellings on it, 2 homes. So you can't sit up here and say Well, that's not true. And if when they're bringing you facts, they're bringing you facts. Now, the Civic Center is not run every day, all day. And I know that for a fact. So again, just let's stick to the facts, and that we're not going to call him a liar when he has the facts right in front of him. That's just my point. I just don't like people to be telling each other liars when you have facts in front of you, and that's what was provided to him through the PG&E bills, and it is broken up by property. So again, I know they're occupied buildings. I know the two are occupied daily and used daily. You could see the fans in the front in the window. They're on for the animals, and that's fine. But you can't sit up here and say that it's a lie about the cost of what it costs to keep that place going. And again, I respect that. Hey, we gotta leave it on for them. But again, please don't sit up here and call somebody a liar when they have facts in front of them.
I'm asking them to look into it. So go
You
ahead.
already did.
No, I actually think they need to look into it because it sounds outrageous to me. So go ahead if you have a question.
I just want to say thank you, Chief, for clarifying that. I know we've had a lot of questions. Also, the Civic Center, like Sabrina's saying, it's not being occupied. It was before. I think it's been empty for several months already. So that you can't compare, like Sabrina said, you can't compare buildings that are being used all the time for buildings that are not. And yes, it's being rented now, but I believe there's only have maybe one event, maybe?
No, there's been several.
Rented, I think one event, I'm not sure, maybe a couple of them.
Maybe the only one that
But,
she
and then we also did have like the basketball, which is not all the time. And it's like Sabrina's saying, you're not going to turn off the ACs the fans or anything at night, especially during the summer, because the animals need to have that air. So yeah, it is.
The fans,
it is what it is.
So
Thank
is
you.
there a question?
We're not against the animals or anything. That's fine. They need their air. Some people leave the TV on for them all night. Some people leave the radio on. I know because I dog sit and they have me do that. Leave the TV on when they go out of town or leave the fan or whatever. But here we're discussing this now when this action went 4 years ago and there was no problem knowing that those buildings were not fit for anybody to live there. But now it's an issue. Almost making sure that it's being brought loudly. But see, before we couldn't do nothing because we were only two. But now that's for the safety, for everything. But we don't have nothing against the animals. Mm-hmm. It's that we didn't have no word and she had the votes. Mm-hmm. So that's all I got to say.
Now
Alma put us in. Excuse me, I'm not done yet. I'm not done.
You said that's all I have to say.
Hold on.
So
and the thing about it, Alma put us in this predicament again.
Go ahead. She said she had all that she had to say. No, go ahead, pass what you need to pass and actually start speaking on the issues that you are trying to bring forward.
I just wanted to point out some facts as well. Bambi's never received a PG&E bill.
Excuse me, would you please state your name?
Brenda Prado.
Thank you.
Never received a PG&E bill all the years of being there. And Chief is correct, it was a verbal agreement between the former city manager and Bambi's that we were to pay the water and the rent. I had questioned this a while back. I had done a public records request to see what other nonprofits were using in the city of Parlier and what they were having to pay for. At that time, it was 580 Tulare Street, Breaking the Chains, does not pay water, PG&E, gas, or rent. Walda is at this location. She does not pay water, gas, or PG&E. Walda does pay $300 of rent monthly. 741 and 741 and a half Tulare Street, which is Bambi's Rescue, pays water and rent of $50 a month. She does not pay PG&E or SoCal Gas. 745 Tulare Street, Comprehensive Behavioral Services, doesn't pay rent, water, PG&E, or SoCal Gas. 8000 Mendocino Academy of Excellence, they pay rent, SoCal Gas, water, and PG&E. Also, you're also correct, Alma, that Bambi's did not agree with paying the $14,000 without actually seeing any bills. Like I said, this whole time, no bills ever came from the city. It was never mentioned. Gas bill was never given to Bambi's. Any bills that Bambi's received from the city were paid, either out of pocket from the volunteers or donations from citizens. And I recall Jeff mentioned at a previous council meeting that the council could change the zoning for the area if they wanted to, considering right in that immediate area is also commercial, not residential. Has that discussion ever come up at a meeting since then?
No.
Okay. Also, what building code standards are not being met on the property? What risk to public safety, health, and welfare exists there? And because there was a code enforcement came to the property, but the tenants were never advised of what violations were there in an attempt to possibly correct them. And I'm wondering, is it standard practice that tenants pay for necessary upgrades to bring a property up to building and zoning codes, where the specifics is what was needed given to Bambi's? So the city is obligated to ensure all properties and uses within its jurisdiction follow all health and safety codes according to what I've read on the agenda for tonight's meeting. When was Bambi's informed that there were violations, and what were they? The city was informed of many health and safety concerns by Bambi's Army Rescue, and there was no action taken. Why was the city unwilling to do anything about the gas leak from the back house? The gas company refused to turn the gas back on as there could be an explosion. Former city manager was contacted immediately. The response was that the city did not have the funds to get it repaired. Neither house had heating, and the city manager said that was okay because the animals all have fur. Oops, sorry, I lost my spot. I made notes. The city was also unwilling to fix the only air conditioner on top of the house. There were no funds available for that either, according to former city manager. Bambi's paid out of our pocket in order to ensure the safety of the animals and volunteers, and we're able to get a temporary fix on the air conditioner for last year's summer heat. As far as the health and safety concerns that the city says that they are required to handle, my question is about the human urine and feces along the boundary of the property that were never addressed in a timely manner. So I ask again, how could this have been handled before coming to this? Thank you.
Okay. Anything else from Michelle?
No, unless you have.
I have a question. I know it's, you said that the city never gave you any bills since you,
I get the water bill.
Okay, so like the PG&E? Ever. Since you've gotten into this property, they've never given you anything?
No gas bill because there's no gas.
Yeah.
It got shut down.
Was that when you went in?
Uh-huh.
It's been not out since then?
It worked, but I kept smelling gas.
Oh.
And I told Sonia, someone's going to end up smoking or light a match,
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be an explosion.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 times I called the gas company. They're like, it's an accident waiting to happen. They shut off the whole gas because they were scared of an explosion.
How long ago was that? I think she's
This
trying to
was
find out.
January of 2020 because I moved in December of 2019. So January 2020.
So a year after you moved in.
A month later.
A month. Oh.
And that back house never had AC or gas, and there's no gas in the front house. The whole gas is shut off.
I apologize for you having to go through that and us getting to this point. I have questioned this since I've come in December of 2020. Again, I've always mentioned to you, Michelle, it's nothing against of what you're doing. I love what you do for the animals. I have one myself. I leave my TV and AC on for my puppy. all day. Yes, my bill is outrageous. But the location, and I've told this to you before, the location is just not right. And I knew from the beginning because I've asked code enforcement prior back then, and there was some violations that were found. And what I was told by the former city manager was that you were still given permission to be there. Not by her, by someone else. So again,
No.
it's now it's
That's a he
that
said, she
that's
said.
person's not here no more. So that's what I was told, and
Yeah,
it's
that's
just
passive
we've gotten from there to now.
Then
So
the thing
that's where I'm saying it's unfortunate that we're
if that
at
was a
this
concern
point.
you had, then you could have brought that to the council at that time. so
Again, we
could
were
have
told to
had
go through the city manager at that time, and these were
council comments.
no, these were things that were told to her, and I was given a response by the
could have
city
still
manager.
asked.
I do have
Communication is key.
quite a few text messages that I'm willing to share if somebody would like to see them. At the beginning, Bambi's was given the choice between the address where Walda is residing and the current location, and we chose that location because we would have an area to quarantine animals from one building to the next, because it's very important. Now, had we been given PG&E bills this entire time, we would have found a way to pay for those.
Yeah.
But how can you do something and pay for something that somebody said, don't worry about it. If it comes up, we'll deal with it.
I agree.
And the
Yeah,
thing
exactly.
is too, is that we have our acting city manager that's been here already for over a year, and you're still at the last hour now getting that bill. So I wasn't even aware of it. He just told me about that bill.
'Cause-
I wasn't aware about the 14,000 until you guys mentioned it on
Yeah,
social
it wasn't
media about
meant, yeah.
1,000. I'm like, it doesn't even make sense. If there's no AC, and it's 14,000 for two locations, one property that don't utilize any air conditioning, but yet the other one that is used and has been used for events, has been used for a cooling center, has been used for a warming center, has been for also to provide meals to the unhoused, and it's only 2,000 for the entire year. That's where I don't understand. It doesn't make sense, and that's why I would like for the staff to ask CERTA to look into that, because I would question my bill if it was that way, if I was paying $14,000 a year.
We'll
I'm
see
not
how
just gonna
much
go ahead and pay
power
that.
is being used once Bambi vacates. Maybe there's something else going on.
I didn't hear what you said.
I said, maybe looking at how much electricity is being used once Bambi vacates next month. And then it'll give an idea. Most cities that have services such as a rescue that helps them as much as Bambi's has, providing things for free all these years. Vaccines add up, microchips add up, food adds up, care adds up, even though volunteers do it for free.
Right.
It was like, okay, so maybe that's why she didn't, or nobody stressed the PG&E bill that we didn't know about, but we did everything for this city for free when nobody else would, because we're told the city has no money. So
Right, and you're right. It was an agreement that we had with you. That's why I was saying about this agreement. And your services were always going to be provided for free, as long as, from my understanding, from what was brought to us at that meeting when you first came on board, was for you to pay $50 a month in rent and the water bill, that utility bill. I was not aware about the PG&E. Now, if that's something that council had a question and brought it to us, although they said that's what she said, well, I'm not her, and I wasn't aware of it until now. So communication is always key, and if they feel that it's not going to get anywhere, I always bring things up in council comments, so that way there's a record of it.
So, Brenda and Michelle, I mean, I've talked to you ladies a lot of times, and I love what you guys do. It gets kind of complicated, and I understand what you're saying. They said that, they say that. When I started in 2023, I did look at your contracts. That's why I started questioning, like, why is this continuing if there's all this stuff already being questioned?
Who was
Every
questioning?
every time we would bring this up, it was always, oh, it's fine. And then even when we did a new contract, I told Chief, they need to know what's on the contract. They need to read. It says tenant needs to pay for utilities. It says gas, water on your first contract that you sign. And if they didn't tell you that, then, I'm sorry, I wasn't here. But I feel it's really important that when we do stuff like that, that it is, that you do know what's on that contract, what's your part, because if I was renting something, if I was doing, I want to know what has to come out of my pocket.
Yeah.
And I also I also questioned it with Walda, because I'm like, when I said, if there's things wrong, why? Just because we're the city, we can allow that? No, we can't. We can't, because like you're saying, if it's hazardous, then we need to say, no, you cannot be there, because it's not good for you or the animals, or it's not good for her.
I think
But
when I brought it up,
when I brought it up to the council,
That's what I asked. What hazards are there?
And that's, and it's going back. It's going back from when you started,
And I
It's
still
with
don't know what the hazard
context.
stuff is either. Apparently they all do. I've been kept
I'm
out
just
of
saying
it.
what Michelle was saying about the gas. Come on, that's hazardous, right?
It's shut
You're
off.
saying.
It's shut off.
Yes.
It's no longer a
Why
hazard
did you
unless
shut
someone
it off?
turns it
Why
on.
did they shut it off? Because it was hazardous. It could have blown up.
Yeah, so it's off. But I think
That's what-
You're
Excuse
interrupting.
me. Excuse
we
me.
need to
She's
just
interrupting.
move on.
Wait. Yes.
She's not
excuse me.
done.
Thank you. So
I do.
So
And it's for
she'll
transparency.
come back,
Absolutely.
and it's good. And I'm glad it's here in the open.
You were
I'm
trying to
glad
get
it's
it
here in the
off at the agenda.
Before,
you guys did.
Since I
know
started,
it.
it was always in closed
Contacted
session.
Megan.
Always in closed session when we talked about it. And I always would say, why is it always in closed session? Because that's where it belongs. That's what I was being told when I would talk
Contracts
about
belong in closed session, but you come and bring it
Megan.
back out to the public and you
And this has
report
been
out.
already for
And you
3
also
years.
put
For
it on
3
the
years.
agenda.
I've
The
been
problem
talking about
is
it.
that you guys want to do certain things behind closed doors, and it doesn't work that way.
Okay, I just want to say that I second the motion of what Sabrina said, because it happened in 2020 and you guys were in danger with the gas and all that. I'm sure you shared it with Alma. I'm pretty sure you did.
Oh,
that was a
don't
huge
assume
concern.
you're
But
pretty
anyway,
sure. I don't-
let me tell you, that Alma knew that. She knew from the get that that place was not safe for anybody to live in.
Alma, Alma.
Yeah, and like
Instead of
Sabrina
Marsha,
said,
Marsha,
like
it's Alma,
Sabrina
Alma,
said,
Alma.
like Sabrina said that it was directed by Alma that she could live there. And I know because I was here in 2020 and I know exactly what happened. But I did not know the danger you guys were in.
Oh, yes, you do. The
Okay.
hatred shows
Okay.
all the time.
So it's been shut off. It's been shut off since January 2020. But it's a lot safer having the animals there instead of the pound. But I understand because of zoning stuff. But is there any place somehow we could work something out that you could put me?
That's been my question for years, and we've been saying that. My question, just to clarify, the $14,000 PG&E bill is what it was from the time being there, correct?
A year.
That's 1 year.
Year.
That is
Okay.
1 year's
That's
worth
why it doesn't
of
make sense.
electricity.
1 year.
So we're not. It wasn't asked of them to pay that right now, correct?
For the future, if for the future PG&E bills, he wanted 14,400.
Well, whatever you inquire between now
Which
and
would probably be
and
the
then
same.
And moving forward, an average, right? Because that's what we've paid in the past. What we paid in the past, which again, like you said, if you need to see the bills, I know there's a bill somewhere, and it has it broken down. So maybe to see that, maybe that'll
For
kind of
transparency would
see
be good.
the monthly, your monthly budget. Of
Right,
course,
right.
you would need a budget.
Invoice with the copy of the bill would have been
Yes,
attached.
would have been attached.
That's
yeah.
how you would normally, anybody that is running in any organization
But
would
I
want to
really,
have
really
a bill. You're not just going to give them an invoice and say, okay, this is, even when we get services from our council or consultants, they do a breakdown of what they're charging us for. We don't get a bill and say, oh, it's 20,000.
Maybe we should have PG&E go, send one of their inspectors and really look into it, because there's no way when the ACs don't work and there's no heat.
That's why I've been asking
And
for them to
during the
verify
summer,
that.
we do have the window AC, and it's only 3 months out of the year.
That's what it didn't make sense. But it's $1,000 from what
Do
Serta was
you-
explaining to me, it was $1,000 a month, and it doesn't make sense. $1,000 a month when the summer months is only 3 to 4 months? And those are the triple digits. Why would you use air conditioning in the wintertime?
And right now, there's no heat at all.
So, you know, the problem really is too, is that maybe people that have ran and instead of going the proper channels to
Exactly.
do things, they're always getting stuck with a bill. You're not the first one. There's the other ones that got stuck with the bill because they didn't go through the proper channels. She gave them permission, and they're always getting.
It was
and
Sonia.
So anyway, I'm not done yet.
Always about
So
me.
anyway,
It was the city manager
I'm
that
just telling you, there's
gave
been
permission.
construction's been up,
The time,
and they had to
Brenda,
take
all
it
the-
down because they didn't do it right.
Yeah.
See, and people about the bills, they don't do it right. So anyway, we need to. No, we're
all of
not,
that already,
Megan. I'm
since-
still
so we
talking.
can- so we can move
I'm
on.
just
If
trying to
we're-
let the community know now
With
that you need to
CERTA-
go through the proper channel and not skip because it gets you in a mess like this.
I just have one
The
more.
proper channel
I have-
was the city
I have
manager.
one more
and that's
question.
who it was through.
Megan, would them not paying the utility bills for that property be a gift of public funds?
Anytime a government agency provides something without it being paid for, it's a potential gift of public funds.
They're a nonprofit.
And whether it's a nonprofit or it's not,
And
a
they're paying for
nonprofit-
services.
and excuse me, I've
I
been
just
asked
wanna-
a
I just wanna-
question.
I know, I'm just
I've
sa-
been asked a question.
Go
Let
ahead.
me answer the
Go ahead.
question.
And then I'll answer as well. Go ahead.
Whether it's a nonprofit, whether it's an individual, whether it's a corporation, whatever the case may be, we all have to pay our way one way or the other. Unless there's a specific agreement that says services are given in exchange for
That's what I was gonna say.
other things of value. Excuse me?
I was going to say that.
May I finish?
Yes, go ahead. You have the floor. I give you the floor.
The other concern is from a legal point of view, besides the potential gift of public funds, and in legal counsel, we always get asked this question, is every day that someone is in a less than premises that are not up to code, it's potential liability for the city of Parlier. If something happens to you or anyone who steps foot in those in either of the buildings or whatever the case may be, and it's not up to code, or the animals or whatever the case may be, like the situation with the gas that was turned off. Those are all issues that the city of Parlier needs to address. And your acting city manager, David Serta, has said to me very clearly he's concerned about public safety, a risk to not only you but the city, and potential liability, lack of compliance with zoning. And unfortunately, these things have occurred prior to most of your council members coming on board, plus
It was approved, yeah.
your acting city manager and myself, for that matter. And so trying to do the right thing is very difficult when the right thing has not been done for some time, apparently.
So what I wanted, now that you finished, I wanted to say, and I know that the services that you are providing to the city, because you have served the community and also animals, how many animals have you actually been able to have adopted? Plus, most cities have a contract where the cities pay for these services. The give and take that the actual council did at that time, it was not that we weren't doing what was right, Megan, because it was under the advice of legal counsel, whether you guys like him or not. He has 30 years, and I expect for you to respect him as of his experience as well, Megan, because he gave us the legal advice as to if it's a contract where you're providing a service to the community and we're not giving it for free, you were paying rent, which it was $50. You were paying for utilities, and you were also paying for the actual immunizations, the spade and neuter services, and the city did not pay a dime. That is why it was explained to us back then that it was not a gift of public funds, even though that's what they're trying to allude to now to justify this action. But it was an agreement that we had, and I understand that you weren't able to pay a bill because it was never given to you. So how are you going to pay for something that you have no knowledge of what the bill is?
Okay, I have another thing. This is for CERTA. There
I
was
think we're after this one we're gonna be
Okay.
done and we can move on.
There was no issue when he asked me if I could pay the 14,400. If I would have said yes, he never would have gave me that letter.
Exactly.
Oh, Michelle, we're gonna do repairs.
That's, of course, and I respect you, Michelle. You've always helped us out with adopting animals, and I will not deny that. I appreciate that very much because we have an enormous challenge at the pound with getting these dogs out, and you have helped us tremendously. But the truth of the matter is, there are concerns. It's health and safety concerns with that building, and then with the
The
non-compliance.
three buildings though, okay? The three.
Non-compliance with the zoning, as well as the contract with the utilities that weren't being paid. All of those are together are the concerns that I brought to you. And I did tell you that, and I've always told you, Michelle, that I've always appreciated everything you've done for us. The fact that that building is not up to code and it's not safe for you to be there, and there are other issues that are non-conforming, it makes it a huge liability. So I'm bringing that to the attention of the council, and it's their choice to do
Yeah.
what they want.
And it will be on the
I
next
did tell
item.
you that if we could find another location, we'd love to have you there.
Well,
It's just the city is limited in building space and those properties to properly suit an industry for dog adoption. That's the problem is
A rescue.
Where do you go for a rescue that for the volume that she brings in, and she does. She's rescued a lot of our dogs. I'm not going to deny that. I never have. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay.
Can I?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of like move it along or else.
I'm
Go
not
ahead.
done yet. Megan, as far as
I'm done with this conversation. We're already, okay. Then that's it. We're gonna move on. I know you wanted to say something else because it's about them. It's not even a public item. It was you guys
but
want to
it's my
speak up
right
too?
to speak.
Okay, then this will be last question because we need to get to the public because now they want to have
I'm the
weigh into.
public.
Go ahead. Just say that, whatever you needed to say, because I don't want to be here all night just on this. It's a done deal. They already made their decision.
I know they did, but I'm
Obviously,
just curious.
they made their decision outside of this meeting. So go ahead, say what you need to say, and then I can open it up to the rest. Okay?
My question was for Megan when you're talking about the gift. When you
Was that?
about gift of public funds? Would the city be able to receive any kind of tax write-off as far as a donation to a nonprofit?
No.
You know, I am not a tax attorney, and I would refer that to the finance director, but generally the answer would be
no.
Okay.
And however, if an agreement is specific and structured in that context, you know, it depends. But the agreement that I have reviewed doesn't mention any of the trade-offs nor the exchange of services, nothing.
Okay.
And I had nothing to do with the agreement,
Right.
other than it being asked to review it.
I'd like to request
to review it.
copies of as far back as PG&E goes for the two addresses if possible.
The finance
And
director had offered to give them to you already, so she
Okay.
was going to prepare them for you.
I'll get those prepared for you and send them right over so you can review where this number came from.
okay, and also, well, actually for more years, just not
okay.
just the past year.
Of course.
Before
you came in?
and then the inspection by code enforcement, since I didn't get any answers on anything else that was wrong besides the gas and the wires, can we get a copy of that as well? And I'm still waiting for the animal ordinances to be public online, the ones that were passed.
Yeah.
I asked about at a previous meeting.
Just passed them tonight earlier. They approved the amendment of that ordinance.
The noise?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, the animal ordinance?
Yeah, that one was
Oh, no.
already,
That should be online already.
it should be.
Yeah.
Because I remember I asked months ago about that as well.
Yeah, no, we
it's
can,
not. I think you asked me that question before, and it's not online, so she would like
Yeah.
the
We can get you a
ordinance.
copy.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, who is next to public comments?
I think right now what we got is, and first of all, Mayor, I was not going to say anything, but I don't like your lack of respect for your fellow council members and to the
Can
public.
you get to the point, please? Thank you.
And the point that I got is that you guys are discussing two properties. And it is your decision tonight to basically make a decision on those two properties. And then if it is at their property, eventually that will come also on the next meeting and you guys can make a decision on the third property. But right now, I think you got a motion in a second already.
There's no
on these
action,
two-
it's
on these two
informational,
properties.
Mr.
Right?
It's
So
informational. It's
not
informational. It is
It
informational.
is not informational.
We did.
We made the correction in
sorry.
the beginning of the
Yeah.
meeting, and it said informational, so you weren't here when we made that decision, so thank you.
I changed
Okay.
it.
Okay, any other? I think she was next, so, give her the opportunity.
Hi,
I
my
know
name's
you'd like to be
Amber
up there.
Theron. I live here in Parlier, and then I volunteered with Bambi's. And I'm just wondering, sorry, Theron, Teran. Why did it take 5 years for the concern for liability come up for Bambi's? And also, there's health and safety concerns that you mentioned. What about the health and safety concerns at the pound, the shelter? What are some short-term goals that you were going to do, police chief, to get the dogs out of the pound, since we will not have Bambi's to help the city? And there's dogs that have been on the street, on my street, that I've called the ACO multiple times, and they're still there running around, almost attacking me and my dog.
So there's it's kind of like a three-prong effort here. So we've got stray dogs in the street, and what we've seen lately is there's been an increase in bites, and particularly with our students. So there's a huge demand for animal control to enforce and suppress the overpopulation of stray dogs. So doing that's one role. The other role is make sure that they're maintaining the facilities. So maintaining, cleaning, and feeding, providing water. Recently, we created a recreation area so they can reduce the anxiety from being locked up, the stress. So there has been some improvements, and actually, we just posted today on our Facebook. If you refer to our Facebook, if you have social media, you'll see that we doubled the size of that pound. We created an enclosed structure for small puppies and injured animals. And it's also an isolation chamber for any dogs that come in, because when you get these dogs off the street, they come in with diseases, and they don't come in healthy. They're malnourished, so they're hungry, they're desperate. So we have to care for them until we get them healthy. So it's a little more complex than everybody thinks. But we've got one animal control officer, and he was part-time up until about 3 months ago because of the budget. So having a part-time handle that much, it's overwhelming. So we saw there was inadequacy. So he is now full-time. There is stricter regulation and oversight at the pound as well. And I do appreciate the input, letting me know, because I made it a point to focus on our animal pound and make sure that those animals are being taken care of. It is limited. It's all we can do in respect to the budget that this city has. This city has no money for that service and for many other services that we want to provide this community. If we had a robust budget, we could do so much more, but we've stretched our dollars so far, and I've spent additional funds at that dog pound and taken it from other areas just to improve that, because I did see it and I saw that there was some inadequacies there, and I wanted to make sure and improve that. So we are continuously and progressively working on that, and it's one of our priorities now, but our budget is extremely limited.
Okay, well, I also want to say that I have personally offered my free, I have an Instagram where I post shelter dogs, and I was denied to come. Michelle emailed asking that I could attend, and there was no response. And also, you expressed concern about posting on Instagram and at TikTok the dogs. I've personally been to the shelter before, though, and I've seen dogs that are just completely skinny, been told that they're on diets. And when I called the ACO that one time when I met him, he told me I should carry a stick in case I come across a dog. He should do his job instead of telling me to carry around a stick. And I see many community members carrying sticks and weapons to protect themselves from the stray dogs. Just walking up, we saw a stray dog, and you probably saw it too.
Yeah. Like I said, our bite rate increased over the last year. We've seen the spike in dog bites in humans, and particularly, like I said, with the students walking to and from school. So so that's our priority. Right now, that's our priority. We are taking care of the dogs, and we're doing the best we can, but the priority is the threat to the students and the people in this community with these stray dogs. It's unfortunate, but these dogs, they're out there, they're starving, they're hungry, and they're getting desperate, and they're chasing and threatening our
So what are your
kids.
goals?
So with the budget that we have, we're doing the best we can, and we have one full-time animal control officer, hopefully in the next fiscal year, which is in July, that we'll have funding for a part-time. I think if we add a full-time and then we get another part-time, that'll help us. The part-time can maintain the pound, while the full-time can be out in the streets and suppressing the out-of-control strays that are
I have a
biting.
suggestion, Chief, that will help as well, and I can offer this to the public, because normally we have a workshop, budget workshop, and we should be working on it already. I don't know if it's gonna happen anytime soon, but maybe we can make an announcement once we have a date for a budget workshop. So community members can actually be more informed of what's the budget, how the budget looks for themselves. And in this way, if you guys get your input, you can also put input like for the things that you would like to see in your community to change. We've had that in the past. We haven't had budget workshops, at least in 2 years. I think the last one we had is when our last finance director was here, but we should maybe work on something like that, just to get the community involvement so that they can see the process, they can see our budget, they can see the true numbers of really what we have and what we receive. So input's always good. And that way they can, then you can say, hey, well, we see this amount. What are your goals with this amount? And what do you want? What are you going to do different to help these animals? Because I understand there's a lot of dogs out there. I wasn't aware about the bites. I haven't heard it, because normally they always post those things on social media. I did see that they say a lot of dogs roaming around in town, which I do see. That's when all shelters and rescues and pounds are all full. And that's when it leads to euthanizing these animals. And most in the Fresno County are going to the extreme of trying not to euthanize, because that's why they'll have these, you can adopt an animal free of charge with no fees for for immunizations or anything like that, and then they can
The
come
problem
back.
though is that sometimes these dogs are leaving the pound unspayed and unneutered.
Yeah, that's
and
shouldn't be happening.
unvaccinated, vaccinated by BMBs though.
Yeah, I think I seen the amounts that they had paid out on the.
I would like to answer one of your questions. You asked why 5 years? Well, Sabrina brought it up. We tried in 2020, but it was just me and her. She had the votes. So there was no, excuse me, there
Solution
was
is to
nothing we
shut it
could do,
down.
but we tried to do it since
Shut it down.
2020. But now, since we're the majority, we're correcting everything.
And shutting
that's
it
not-
down is their
We're
solution.
correcting everything that's not
Shutting it down.
safe, like their dogs and all that. But we tried in
Shut it
2020,
down.
but she had the votes. But thank you, okay?
Shutting it down was their solution, which is unreasonable.
We didn't have them living in danger. We didn't want them living
So
in
go
danger like she
ahead,
had them.
Fernando.
My name is Fernando Banuelos from Parlier. One solution could be, because I know PG&E has been notorious as far as implementing the past bills on the current tenants, something to look at. Number two is to call PG&E, and what they'll do, they'll run a test. So they'll say, okay, we'll run a test right now. We'll tell you how much it's going to be, let's say, from in the morning to 3 o'clock, and they'll give you the
Detailed.
amount. Yeah. And then after that, 3 o'clock to about 7, they'll say, okay, since you're still going to have it on, let's give you a synopsis, how much it's going to cost. The other one, and I have done that before, and then what they do, they'll say, okay, shut everything off.
To see what's the
And-
problem.
Yes, exactly. And there could be, yes, exactly what you're saying.
Well, the wires are low. Since they're saying the wires are low, there might be some electrical issues. And that's why I'm saying that it's all 3 buildings. It's not just 1 or 2, because the wires are all connected within the same PG&E box or whatever. And they may have different bills, but it's still within that same issue. And the only way that it's going to get answered is, you're right, it's PG&E. Up here, nobody really knows, and they can assume that that's not the problem. But you're right, is getting maybe PG&E to come out and look at the location and also verify the wire concerns that CERTA has been talking about. Because he's not an expert, we're not an expert, only the PG&E is the ones that are experts on that. You're right.
Yes. What happens is that PG over the phone, they'll tell you at that time, okay, you turn off all your refrigerators and electric devices. They're gonna say, guess what? There's still energy coming out.
Yeah.
So at that time, I mean, I used to have a house in Fresno, a rental. I had the neighbors were tapped in to the house. Okay.
Oh.
So that's what we found out. I said, what? How did that happen? Because I had some renters right there. They go, oh, I forgot to tell you that I'm helping them out. Oh, I'm paying for the bill. So that's something to look at. So I think PG&E at that time can rectify the problem. That's what I would do. And,
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think if staff
bring
can look into
PG&E
that
out
and
to
have
do
them actually go out there instead of just having code enforcement. They're not the experts on that either. So it would be PG&E. That's what they work on. They work on their lines. They work making sure that it's energized the proper way. So you're absolutely right, Mr. Fernando. So with that, I think that this was just informational.
I had something I wanted to just address with or tell you, and you're right when it comes to the animal shelter or shelter we have out here for the city. When I first started in 23, I did bring it up. I did have a concern because we started doing meetings for ordinance for the dogs because we were having a lot of issues with the children by the schools and stuff. So we did have meetings. We did have the community. We had townhouse. We changed some of the ordinance with the residents' input. That's why I say again, very important when we do have these ordinance that we want to change, that our residents come and they be part of it. When I asked the prior city manager about the shelter, I was told there was only 5 kennels that we had out there. 5. One had to be used for a vicious dog, could not be used other than that. So it had to be empty only for vicious dogs. So we only have 4 kennels. And I'm like, so how are we supposed to have our animal control officer pick up dogs, strays? Where are they going to put them? Where would they put them? So that's when I was told, while we have this funding, it wasn't a big funding, but it was enough to enlarge it. Now we have how many kennels, Chief?
But they used to take them to
But I say the goal is to get them out, not keep them there longer.
Exactly.
And
But not all the dogs will go either. There's too many. I mean,
They would go to Bambi's.
Michelle can't have a whole bunch.
She would have them
especially when
adopted.
they're big. Excuse me.
She would have them adopted.
Excuse me. Thank you.
Misleading again.
You know what I'm telling you, right?
Yes. I
But
just
we
think
are
that
working
if
at
there's
it.
health and safety concerns at B&B's, there's health and safety concerns at the pound, for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly.
I've been there.
And we need
There's
to
no,
keep
I've read the grand jury report from 2000, 2001, and there was a report that there was plywood put on the back walls, all the walls. That's not there anymore. That's exposed. They're getting sprayed on with the poop water. You know, there's diseases that are coming from there. Dogs have died. Oregon, the shelters from out of state are not taking any dogs from there because they've died. I've seen them and they look sick when they're going. We had concerns but didn't know for sure, and then they died. And because of that, you burn bridges. They don't want dogs from Parlier. They're from Parlier. They will not take them.
I know. I remember Michelle mentioned that, and so now we're gonna just go, because if not, we're never gonna
Thank you.
finish. So thank you
Thank you.
again. So again, this is not an action item. This is just informational. Maybe you guys can come in and talk to CERTA and voice more of your concerns, because if not, we're going to be here all night. There's a lot of concerns. I'm not saying that it's not valid, but you can meet with CERTA, and maybe you guys can come up with some kind of solution of what sounds better for you and what we can do to make it a team effort and where we can meet halfway. And thank you, Fernando, for bringing that up. I think that is another solution that we can look into as well. And that maybe CERTA can look into that. And thank you for your time. I know you guys took your time, the day to come out here and voice the concerns. And most of us want to be home with our kids. And I appreciate you came out here to support Bambi's. I support Bambi's. They've done a fantastic job. They do try to get them homes, permanent homes, and not in the pound forever. So thank you. No,
We all
we
support
can also
Bambi's.
go on to the next item.
I just want to
Next
let you know
item-
that we all support Bambi as well.
And we can move on to the next item. The next item is the consideration and necessary action on the resolution to enhance pedestrian safety in the city of Parlier. And this resolution, it was really important. I shared it with the school at our meeting yesterday that we had in conjunction with the city and the trustees from the school, which is important for us to start working. I'm glad that Dr. Iniguez and Mr. Mares worked on bringing us all together with the board and the council. It's important. So this resolution is to work on the safety for our children. This is something that Esmeralda Hurtado and myself were talking about, the concerns that Sanger has with the loss of life with kids, our youth. They had two casualties over there. They had two casualties in here. We had two here in Parlier. We had, I think even Selma had some too. So the conversations about the safe routes to school is always a topic that we talk about at the Fresno Council of Governments, FCOG. I like the idea that that this is something that Esmeralda and I talked about, where she brought up about the resolution on how to enhance areas in our surrounding our schools to make sure that there's like the lighting is better, because I know that was one of the issues that we had here with pertaining to lighting. That was one of the concerns that the parent of the child that lost her life, and Madsen, and the concerns were about the lighting in the area. And so I mentioned this to Javier, and maybe we can look at, I know that we have the safe routes to school with COG, which is not as competitive as if you go to safe routes to school with the state, because now you're competing with the entire state. Maybe we can do both and get the funding, which I know we already passed some funds for COG to apply for. Any of the cities can apply for it. Fresno and Clovis are not going to participate because then they would take all our funding because they're the ones that have the most population, and it's based on population. So they're not going to participate on that. So we can participate and also complete it against the other cities. And I'm sure not all of them are going to apply for that fund. So we can get the areas with the more lighting, maybe find other safety, like the little beacons that they have for the ground for when they're crossing. I know that you're working on Madsen with that other grant that we just received as well. And I think Measure C is also part of that project, which is it's an important thing that Measure C passes, because Measure C is what funds a lot of our roads and makes it safer for the communities. So that, and then also I have it on here. I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at it. I had on here that the participation with law enforcement chief, as I mentioned to you, and I know that the school board was really, they like that idea because it's harder for them to control traffic. They have the cross guards out there, but when they see law enforcement, they're going to be a little bit careful on how they drive around the area and not make these unnecessary U-turns in front of the school, which even though it says no U-turn, they still do it. I've seen it. And just officer presence during the morning when they start their day, and the release times that you can have them out there, even one or two, and just driving around throughout the schools, and they see that presence that they're going to be doing that. Maybe you can set up a schedule for that. And, just working with the school and other areas that we can enhance to make it safer for the kids. Yeah. There's a lot of things on here that it points out what to do. But I don't know if you guys have any questions.
I just have something to say, because you say more presence about or at least to have presence at the schools. Chief, the cops are there already.
No, they're not comporting.
I see them every day because I drive the streets.
I spoke to the
schools, so-
superintendent and I spoke to Mr. Mares, and they said that they would like officer presence. I do pick up my granddaughter and they're not there. They would like to see this, so I had this conversation with them to ensure that that's what they wanted, and they do. When I
We all agree.
when
we
I
all
talked,
agree. It is my time. You did give me the floor. So
yes, and that's okay. I'm just clarifying
I'm
that
just
that's
clarifying
something,
for you that
that's your perception.
In the morning they are there, so
But the
I
school
see
is not.
them.
The school is saying otherwise. You have your opinion, and that's okay. But
mean,
I
you could
talked
ask
to
the
this.
whole town that lives by there.
I'm not
they are
gonna.
there.
I'm not gonna talk to the whole entire town. I'm talking
Well, I'm
to
telling
the
you
school
what it is. I'm there
because the school. Well,
every day.
that's your opinion. So the school. It's your opinion. That's fine.
You know,
There's nothing wrong
you
with it.
cannot sit here and tell the chief what to do with his officers when their officers are active
So
there. I
you're
see them
saying you
myself.
don't want them to
but
be
I
there.
see the officers there. Diego's confirming it because he goes through there
You
constantly.
don't want them there.
So she's trying to make
No, you
herself
don't
on a
want them there.
pedestal when we all know that the officers are present and they're doing their job.
I hear.
So chief does not need direction.
Let the
He
public
knows
say
it.
if they're there. The parents that drop off their kids, because I'll tell you one thing: they all say they're not. But you guys can go defend them and bat for them all you want. I just want to do what's right for our community and the safety of our kids, whether. They feel well. Obviously, it
Exactly.
doesn't feel that way because you're more concerned that they are not being, that we're not saying that they're not there because you're more protecting the officer that is really not there. We do have a resource officer that's there,
So
but
you-
he's
you're saying that
on
they're not there, though,
grounds,
right? You're saying
but
that
he's
they're not there?
on grounds.
You're saying
What
that they're
you
not there,
need-
right?
I spoke to. Do you?
You're saying that
so
they're
what-
not there. I
Do you
just
need
want
to
you to say the
talk?
pu-
You need to look. You need to.
Asking you.
And I'm asking you to
Because
you
I'm there.
talk.
I see them, and I'm telling
I've
you.
seen
I'm
them
not
also.
basing it off of what you're saying.
I
I'm
believe-
basing it off of what the
just-
superintendent.
I believe what
and
was
the-
said yesterday was that we needed more presence. The
Exactly.
presence
Thank
was
you.
there,
Thank
but the presence is there
Yep.
at the junior high
Enough.
and the junior high and the high school. I don't know. Do we have enough officers to have people at all the school sites? Because you're talking about different areas
They
of
have
the
to-
city. But again, our resource officers for junior high and high school are out. I see them.
I'm not
Elementary
questioning-
sites. I don't know. That's what I'm
That's
asking.
not what I'm not saying anything about the resource officers. You have officers that can patrol
Well, that's why I asked
the
how many.
area. That's
do we
what
have?
is on here. Read what you're.
No, it
it
said more
says to
presence.
yes, it
Yeah.
doesn't mean you're gonna have an officer parked. You're not gonna have an officer parked at each school site. But driving around in officer presence means you drive around, because I do hear that from the community that there is not enough officer presence and that they don't see them. I get those messages. You get the messages that they're doing a fantastic job. I get a message where
You're
I
always
don't
negative
ever
towards the
see
employees,
them.
period.
No, I talk with the truth. And if
Oh,
my
no.
constituents are saying that
No.
that's their concern, I will voice
We
those
can-
concerns. That's all I'm
we
saying.
can
I'm not going to
increase,
put everybody at City Hall up in a pedestal when everybody else is complaining.
Well, that's what I
what
said.
you guys do.
She always
I
she
don't
always
work for
harassing the
individ-
employees, belittling them.
We
I
can
don't
increase
work
the,
for
the
individuals.
patrol in that
My
area.
job is to protect the community and my
We
constituents.
can look at increasing the patrol
Thank
in
you,
those
Chief.
areas.
That's all I was
You're good,
asking.
Chief.
Because obviously, with what's being said here, it's that from what I
Some-
gather is not that you're saying that, but from this side is that this is not important.
Oh,
Because-
yes, it is.
Because
See, that's what she does. She
Don't
interprets
put
us.
words in my mouth, Alma Beltran.
She always does that.
It's not an issue. I'm just saying that
okay,
there is
let's
presence
open it
there.
up.
Because you're lying that there's no
And
officers.
you're lying, exactly.
Questions
You're
so that
lying,
way-
Elma.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve or not?
I motion to approve.
Thank you.
I second.
All right. All that for no reason. Thank you, and motion carries. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 5 yeses. Thank you. Thank you. So now
Mayor,
can you,
excuse me, did you have an opportunity for public comment on
he
this?
nodded his head no, so I took it for no. So go ahead, can you go off on the closed session, because I did point over there and you said no. So,
Well, my concern is not only the kids. The kids are more important. But in fact, I was going to talk about one of my concerns is Parlier and Academy. A lot of people are walking back and forth, and also Academy and Young. I think we need to do some stuff there for pedestrians.
what are you talking about,
I'm
stuff?
talking about the safety of pedestrians. And I know that so you can put more in what you got for Parlier, because you're not giving credit to
Because
any of
I'm the
these
one that
people.
does it. I'm sorry.
We got
Whether you like it or not.
360
I'm the one that goes to,
1,000.
they deny
It's my
everything that
time,
I
Mayor.
do.
It's my time.
And so.
It's
It
my
is your time.
You are always advocating for
It's
them
my
when
time.
you know that it's not so.
It's my time.
So it's
We
okay.
got the
Put it on the
approval
record that
from-
Elma's not letting a constituent
That
talk.
doesn't go
Put
on
it
the
put it
record.
on the record, please. Thank you.
we got the approval from the governor
Lena,
to get some money for
What
safety.
I had addressed the last time as far as what goes on the record is city business. Now,
And this
I
is-
am telling him that
Tell
is
me when you
enough.
finish,
We're
Mayor,
talking
so I
about
can
this
continue.
item, which is a actual resolution, and it pertains to only the officer presence. And if you have a concern about officer presence with the school sites, that is what is on here. We're not talking about.
That's what you're
Megan,
reading. That's
That
what
is
you're
not
reading.
on the resolution for Academy, for Young. That is not a discussion. That is out of topic. We're not on topic.
not.
It's not, it's safety.
It's about
we need to move on.
pedestrians.
Safety.
But go ahead,
But
Humberto.
that Mr. Umberto
Go
is
ahead.
carrying a conversation that's not agendized.
Oh, is
Pedestrian-
it that guys, Megan?
pedestrian-
Order, please.
pedestrian
Megan.
safety.
Order, please. Order. Order, please. Order, please.
That's what we're
On the
talking about.
whereas on number 2, pedestrians and traffic safety are essential to ensure. It doesn't specify and it's within our district, so he has a valid concern.
It says pedestrian safety.
No, it's
Okay,
a
it
school.
says-
if
no.
you look at the bullet points, it's on
Read
there.
it, Mayor. I'm reading it. Okay.
Go
so
ahead,
let me-
Humberto.
Address this already. This is out of
Yes,
control.
as long as you're all quiet, I will address it.
Okay.
The subject is resolution to enhance pedestrian safety in the city of
Thank you.
Parlier. So you have a certain
Thank you.
amount of time to comment on that only.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what he's doing.
And
What
that's
does what
I'm
does
doing.
Academy have to do
That's,
with
that's what I'm
Safety.
doing. It's safety.
What is the safety?
Pedestrian safety.
What is it?
Get it to your head.
What is it?
We don't
Academy?
we don't have
Crosswalks.
we don't have the places
Okay.
to walk on.
So what you can do?
Wait a minute, let me
is
finish.
Quit, sir.
Let me finish. Let me finish,
Put that
and
on
then
there.
you can continue.
Mayor, you asked for my input.
Tell me to shut up,
and-
Kathy.
and
You're
this-
so rude.
And this member of the public should be allowed a limited amount of time.
I want
to-
him, Megan.
You asked my opinion.
This is what he needs to do, okay? Because
You
this-
just asked me
can
what
you-
he
can
needs
I-
to do.
You're not a queen, Mayor.
Yes, I am.
You're not a
my
queen.
Megan,
You're
what
the
I'd
only
like
the
for
mayor.
him to do, because it's in general. He's talking about things on Academy, which nothing is out there for funding for that. What I would like for you to do is sit down with CERTA
I'm
on
not
your
gonna sit down, Mayor. I know
and
I'm
have
gonna
your
be making.
concerns of what
I'm
you
gonna be
would like
making some recommendations
that area.
on the money that
Look,
we're getting from the
there's no
state.
location over there. What do
On
you
the
want
money
to-
that we're getting from the state.
What
We're
state?
getting money
What
from
is
the
it?
state.
Where?
Well, ask Javier.
Megan.
And you always say that
That's what they
you
told
bring
us
more
today
money.
about that kind of
We're getting
attitude. That's what they told us.
$363,000
He's saying
for
that
safety.
we're getting some money from the state. Now he's really off topic, but what
Sir,
money is he talking about?
Member of the public, Mr. Umberto, would you kindly focus on
Exactly.
pedestrian?
He's trying.
Off topic.
I'm
Trying,
What-
but she keeps
Let me-
interfering.
One moment, please, since I was asked.
Yes,
You
close
just
it
have
up.
a minute
to speak to pedestrian safety
Yeah.
only. in the
Exactly.
Yeah,
city
that's
of-
what he's
But
doing.
No, he's
Do
talking
not-
about funding.
Do not,
Okay.
do not speak if this group is talking. Wait until they're done, and then you have your.
All right, let me use some
Yes,
pedestrians.
thank you, Megan.
I'm making the recommendations that we need safety zones for people to walk on some of the streets. And one of those is, like I say, Parlier and Academy and Young and Academy. A lot of people travels back and forth there, and we don't have anything.
Okay.
In the Colonia, we don't have anything. Pedestrian safety, we not even have the
Crosswalk.
sidewalk, crosswalk, sidewalks, so you're neglecting the community. And
We're
when-
neglecting
when
your
you're talking
constituents.
about the
You have your
cove,
representative over here.
you're the chairman. You should be-
Representatives that you
you're the
need to address.
chairman. You're the chairman. You should be getting money and letting know
And I do.
Cove that we need to spend our money because it's our money, and they're telling us what to do with our money.
But Humberto, if you go to her
Press
area, everything
your-
is done perfect.
Oh, yeah.
She doesn't give us nothing over here. Go walk over there in her area. Look how pretty it
Councilmember
is.
Solorio.
She had the votes.
Councilmember Solorio.
I made a recommendation, and I'm gonna be on.
She's trying to
and,
say something.
Mr. Umberto.
You need to address your representative.
Would kindly follow up with the acting city manager if
Exactly.
you have
Sure,
any other concerns.
I will do that.
That would be great.
Sure.
Thank-
Yeah, because that's all you needed to do, and then also address your representative. Your representative is right here, so when you have concerns, you need to go to him. I take care of, you could, but you still go to him. He's your representative, and he's done nothing for you, exactly. He's
He
done
didn't bring us a
nothing.
$1.1 million lawsuit. I'll tell you that.
What's on about your case, Kathy? Read the case. Read the case.
That's going to
That-
be clarified.
that
That's going to
case-
be clarified why she's
Oh,
not here.
no, it's not.
Council
Read it.
members, may we move forward, please,
Read it.
in the agenda?
Read it, Kathy. You obviously
Council
can't
members, may we move forward, please?
Yes, I have something to say. So they already said they don't want to say anything, so it's okay. Okay. Oh, Diego doesn't want to say nothing. Okay, he said he has nothing to say. So, go ahead. All you
I
do
want
is
to
thank
invite
everybody.
the community out to our April 12th Easter Festival.
Does
It's a
nothing.
fantastic time. Come out and join us. Free food. We got rides, games, free raffle prizes. Come on out and enjoy and have a good time. It's free. April 12th at Earl Ruth Park at noon, from noon to 3 o'clock. We'll see you there.
And I would like to invite, excuse me, stop, please, excuse me. Do you want to wait till you finish, Alma? Mayor, let her finish. 2.5, I don't know what
He
you're
ever
saying.
stops you, so all of a sudden you're
Well-
caring about me that I'm sitting over here?
Okay, whatever. Okay. So anyway, thank you, Chief, for that. I want to invite the community. If you have extra time, on Saturday, we are going to be stuffing Easter eggs for our Easter egg hunt on the 12th. If you have time at 12 o'clock here at Community Center, we're going to, at the Civic Center? Are we going to be able to use that Civic Center? No? Okay, at the Civic Center, I take that back. At the Civic Center at 12 o'clock noon, we're going to be stuffing eggs for our event. Please come and help if you have the time. Thank you. I also want to thank Parlier Unified School District, Dr. Iniguez, for reaching out to me about doing our collaborating meeting with the city and the school. Yesterday's meeting was really great. I feel really strong about the city and the school always being on the same page. They grow, we grow, we grow, they grow. We have to do it for our children. They are our future. Thank you. Have a good night.
It's my turn. Sorry. I just want to say yesterday's joint meeting went very well. We had some ideas brought up. Mayor worked with the councilwoman from Sanger to get that resolution brought up. She had been talking about doing that for a while, and thank you for bringing that up. It is important to collaborate with the district for the safety of our kids and community.
I did it.
Again, I look forward to seeing everybody at the April 12th event for our Easter event, egg hunt. bring the kids. It's a fun event. Just want to thank staff for their hard work, and let's move forward. Thank you.
It's my turn. I have something to say. Thank you to all staff. We really do appreciate all of your guys' hard work. The perception up here is probably different from what you're hearing, but we do appreciate everyone and what you guys do and your presence in our community and what you guys do for all the kids, as well as the school district. Working there, it's all about the kids, and up here in the city council, it's about the kids and our constituents. So I do appreciate all of you guys. Thank you.
I agree with Diego. I also want to say that, yes, we do care about the kids going to school and coming. It's a big concern. It is, so don't be misled. Another thing I want to say is, like, in 2020, we tried to take care of the situation with Bambi, but we could not because Alma had her votes. But now, excuse me, Alma?
Solution is to terminate them. Yes, I hear. Go ahead. That was your solution.
Well, community members, you see what we deal with. Is this what you want for the next election? I don't think so. Well, anyway, as I was telling you, Sabrina and I tried, and we couldn't get anywhere with that at all. So the girl brought up a good point. Why 5 years later? Why? Because here we're working
And
as
you've
a
been here longer. So you obviously act like you just barely got elected.
and those 4 years, we had no say-so. She had the votes.
Never voiced them.
We couldn't. Because if I would talk, I would be at the DA's office
You have that
3
problem.
times. So anyway,
what does the
let me
DA have
tell
to
you,
do
let me
with-
finish what I'm trying to say. So anyway, Alma put these people in danger by putting them in those houses. She knew what she was doing because she authorized it, and we know that for a fact.
Hi,
I second what Sabrina said. And
in your
another skill, oh my God. And another thing is that we need to do and stick together like we're doing, fixing all the errors Alma did because she was controlling the city. And this is a good example right now. Now she's playing like she don't know. Oh yeah, she knows.
You're a joke.
I went to no, I'm not a joke. I'm a sincere citizen for my people. So anyway, as I was telling you, that's why we have to do what we're doing. We were commented already before that this is the best council that has been here, and we're proving ourselves
150
because
voters.
we're not doing what we're told by the mayor. We're doing what the constituents want and the safety of the community. That's very. She's talking about a lawsuit, and I'm trying to
the
talk.
one that you're doing, the one that you caused.
So anyway, as I was saying, you got community members, please remember, take it into full consideration that Alma is unfit to be a mayor, and you're seeing people building buildings that they're not supposed to. They're taking them down. They lost their money. Oh my God, she's put so many people in a mess because they do not go through the channel. And the channel is go through the city manager. We learned today that the boss is a city manager that runs the city, not the mayor. That's why a lot of things are coming back now, and we're going to fix them for the community. And I say that very proudly. Thank you.
Finally, thank God. Okay, so I just want to get back to business instead of the attack mode that Kathy Solorio always has against me. It's obvious, it's obsessive, and I'm actually happy that you stopped posting false information out
That's
there
not on what we're talking about, Mayor.
So thank you for at least,
Okay.
taking recognition that you can get sued for slander and defamation. So with that, I want to just go ahead and thank again Martin Mares and Superintendent for really doing a great job yesterday. It was really important that we met, and for reaching out to council and myself for getting together. They've been trying to do this for some time, they said, and they finally decided to move ahead and move forward with this. So it is important to keep that communication with them. And I like the fact that the board president and the superintendent is always engaged with wanting to better our students, better the lives of our kids, having opportunities that they have been accomplishing a lot of positive stuff over there. And with Mary Sanchez, Nathaniel Sid, all of the ones that are out there really working together to make sure that they do a better, they're working together, because when they're working together, it makes a difference. And here, it's always an attack. It's always about what I cannot do, because that is why they always say, I need to go get the funding. Well, that's where the community needs to realize that they go to their actual representative and ask for those helps. But you know what? They all tend to come to me anyway, because I'm the only one that responds. I hear that all the time. I've asked and I've called and I don't get no response. I heard that also with the development for the 300 homes that are out there. He has reached out numerous times to Diego, never responded. Wanted to actually talk. He has the emails. And I'll share the emails that he can send them to me, because that's what he said to me, and I don't think he's going to lie about that. The thing is that he's been trying to get this project with the housing that's in that area. And thankfully, he said that now we have self-help, so that way he can actually get people into those homes. Without that, people will not be able to get into those homes, because like I mentioned earlier, there is no help with USDA. So many times people tell me that they can try to reach out and there is no response. So I think it's important that you guys start reaching out and answering to your constituents, because once they don't reach you guys, because they always say we go to our representative first, but if we don't get anywhere there, then Mayor, sorry, we're going to contact you. And that's okay. But there's a reason for you to be here, not just to show up 2 meetings a month and to bash me, because that's technically what's happening here all the time. And one of the things that we did talk about, you had your opportunity.
Mayor,
you already had your opportunity. So
No, I'm not
one of the
interrupting.
things that I wanted to talk about is that when we talked yesterday, they want to work on possibly for us to work together in expanding, or the school taking over for our city pool, which would be something that we would like you guys to be putting that on the agenda for a discussion, maybe in closed session, so that we can either figure out what's the best option. And Megan, so you can actually look at if that's something we can do. They're recommending that either they lease it or they purchase that pool, so that they can utilize it for the kids at the school and have, some kind of sports for them there. And they want to also maybe possibly expand the pool. So I would like to see that on the next meeting, at the next agenda, so that way we can talk about it in closed session, what are our options. Maybe we can have, if it's possible, to have the superintendent or one of them in that, so they can kind of give more specifics to what we can do legally and how we can draft a contract or an agreement with them, because the city of Parlier has always had a difficulty sustaining that pool, because for one, we don't have the staffing, we don't have the funding for us to maintain that pool. So that's one of the things I would like to see for closed session, for us to talk about further, what are our options, and maybe we can include them, Serta, and see what we can do. And then after that, if we come to an agreement, then you can draft up a contract, Megan, and we can put it on the agenda later on a later date to approve that or not.
I'm not exactly clear on what it is, and your council has to be in agreement to move forward.
We were in agreement at this meeting, so that's why I'm asking you. I'm asking you to put it on and for a closed session. You weren't there. Exactly. She wasn't present. So this council was there. Kathy was not present, but we met with the school trustees, and that's one of the things they would like to see. So what we can do, and what are our options? We can still put it on in closed session for discussion, and that way you get more clarity of what's going on, what we're proposing to do. And then once we come into an agreement, then you can draft up the contract for what's the next course of action.
We need to have that on open session, because that's taxpayers' money. No way.
It has to be first in closed session. That's the process. You've been here 4 years and you still don't know. You put that in closed session, you have a discussion, and then later you can put it as a contract and put it in open session, and that public will know what we're doing. So that's one of the things that we can do for the next one. The other thing that I like to talk about is, the safety that Mr. Humberto's talking about. There's items that Javier has on his list that focus already on the subjects that we've been talking about for several years. And he has them already on his list because this is a list that Javier was working on with the last city manager and the last council. So that item and those items are already on there, and he's getting to them as he gets one out of the way, then he goes to the next item. So they're already on there. It's nothing new that you're bringing to us. It's something that it's already been brought up by many other community members. So that is going to be addressed. It just can't be addressed right now like the way you want it. It's on a list that Javier was actually going to do a presentation. I had asked for him to be on the agenda, but I think, I don't know if I told you, Chief. I know I didn't get to tell Bertha. I think you were out of the office. But I wanted him to do a presentation of all his projects. I like to do that because this way you would have had your answer if he would have had his presentation, and you wouldn't have to be saying that nothing's over there, because there's a lot of projects that we're working on. The thing is that it's on a list that Javier has already worked on based on priority. One of them is the roundabout that is going to get started in June. That is, it's been, Javier worked really hard on that and did all the studies that were possible for how is the best way to eliminate that congeskedness, and keeping the flow of traffic is always the best, because you just separate. And I'm glad that you went by and talked to the superintendent and Mr. Martin Marez to show them exactly how the design was going to be, because you want to separate the kids from the traffic. You don't want to have them going in the same direction or going through the traffic. And I think I seen a video about one in Dinuba, which pretty much was in the circle of the roundabout. I saw it on video, and they had the crosswalks in that roundabout. And that's not how Javier has his design. He showed it with the superintendent and the president of the board. They were actually more relaxed and more satisfied to how his design and his studies are going to help that area. So without, people tend to have an opinion of a roundabout without even seeing the design, because they think that all roundabouts are all uniform, they're all the same. They're not. Depending on what the engineer sees, what's the best option for that location. So Javier did get to go over that. And the other thing was, we're working on going to DC still, and that's going to be in a couple of weeks. And that is where we're going to put a traffic light for Manning. Oh, sorry. Elena Gonzalez and Eric Molina. I'm sorry. So those they were present as well at the meeting with us at that time. The only one that was not present was Kathy Solorio. But we're working on the funding to work on Manning, which is it's a pedestrian stoplight. So we don't have millions of dollars, and the most that we can get to cover that area, which is, I've seen it in Bakersfield. It was a pedestrian crosswalk. They hit the button and it stops traffic. It's almost like a traffic light, but it's managed by the pedestrian. So when there's a pedestrian there, they push the button and the lights go on. It stops traffic, and they can go across from Salandini to the Dollar General, because we have a lot of kids, families going across in that Manning area. And so that's one of the things that we're working on with Townsend. They're the lobbyists that are working in DC to get that funding, but we also have another plan in case, because we all hear what's happening in our federal government, where they're reviewing everything to make sure if it's worth spending that fund, which I don't see how they were going to deny public safety. So I think that and I heard recently that they're opening the portals again for us to submit the actual request for earmarks. So that's good. Other than that, I have another exciting news. I was selected by the EOPA, which is Elected Officials Protecting America, to go to DC again. The last time I went for the Climate Change Summit in DC. Now it is for the Energy Safety Summit. And they're paying for me to get there. I submitted my application to be part of this, and I was accepted. And of course, it's because I'm always going to be supportive on anything that's going to help our country, and especially when it has to do with climate, the changes that are affecting everybody in our nation and in the world, actually. So I am so excited that they actually selected me and that I will be participating out there. It's a 3-day thing. We are going to meet with all the elected officials in the federal government out in DC. And then we're going to have a press release as well as what we're doing in DC. So when I get back, and that's in May, when I get back, I will share, and I will also share it on social media. And tomorrow I leave again to the Wells Conference, which is the water education for Latino leaders, which is important to get educated on as far as how it affects, people's lives. And without water and clean water and affordable water, which I'm thankful that Javier, I think they're going to be done with that project already with the TCP. Okay. So I don't know. I think you said you were wanting to set something up for a ribbon cutting deal. I think it's important. Maybe we can have Alfonso be part of it as well, and check with him and get the schedules figured out with him, so that way we can go out there and do a ribbon cutting so that people can know that it's actually up and running, because we get that question all the time, where is it working or is it not, because they don't know. But once they'll see it on social media or our website that we have in the city, that it's up and running, then that way they can know that it's already filtered water, clean water, that we were able and successfully able to get those fundings from back in 2016 is the settlement, and then in 2018 with the actual, I think it was 2018, right? For the state. Yeah, 2018, the state gave us the rest of the funds so that we can fully pay for the project. So with that, Megan, can you go over the closed session?
How did that happen when she put dogs and people in danger?
Hi, Kathy, but your solution is to cancel the contract. Your solution is to always contract and go. Oh, I have a question for you, Chief, and that has to do with Kathy. Does a council member have the authority to go to a resident and tell that resident to get rid of their dog? That was brought to my attention.
That is so false, people.
Because
False.
I was told that Kathy Solorio went to a resident.
Bring the
and
resident
told
over here.
her- I'm going to have her come in
Bring
and,
her
and
over
speak
here.
to the chief. No, you'll just intimidate people.
That's right.
So can you please
Another line.
make sure on that, because I'm going to get the name, and so you can contact her, because she
Doesn't even know the name, and they contacted her. How's that?
I don't have it. I don't memorize people's names.
Oh, she knows everything. She was born in the White House.
Yeah, you're hating.
So that's a lie.
I will look at social media, because they messaged me. I have it on, and I will send you the information, because that is one of the things that was said to me by her, that she went to her house and told her to get rid of her dog.
Oh my God!
I just want
You guys listen to that
and that's
lie.
not the first time, because the other one was about feeding cats, and I think I already brought that one to your attention the last time as well, that they would get a citation for feeding stray cats. So
Anyway, bring that letter, whoever texts you,
maybe
and we'll see it.
We can put a maybe information for the public to know that no elected official And that's all of us. You can say, no elected official has the authority or the right to tell a resident anything about their dog that they need to get rid of.
Don't believe that, Chief.
So-
Don't believe it.
So that's just
She's
the
a good liar.
clarification. Just that's the clarification for people that are out there, because, yes,
Chief,
that's right. And
Before
that's
you
why-
do that, Chief, get the letter and the information from the person that said that, please, Chief.
Still
'cause
do it.
I
because
will
she
take action on that, okay?
She'll take action because she wants to retaliate. So, no, you're not taking action.
Alma wants to sue the city, and now she's putting a false accusation on me. I never did that, Chief.
Yes, you have, all the time. You're aggressive and you retaliate and you are always
She's the
attacking
one that
people.
attacked me and put her nails on my back, and she calls me aggressive?
Council
that's why you
members
got
and
nowhere
mayor,
with
I've
that.
been asked to
That's why you got
start
nowhere with
closed
that,
session.
Kathy.
So if I could have it quiet, please.
Yeah, you did it. Go ahead.
Clo-
What was again? I'm sorry. I was writing something.
I haven't said anything yet. I'm waiting for it to be quiet.
She still at it. So,
Okay, so we're going into closed session, and there's an opportunity for public comment on closed session. Before we do that, this portion of the meeting is reserved for anyone desiring to address the council on an item which is to be considered during closed session. Speakers shall limit their comments to 3 minutes, and on the closed session, item number 8 is conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Torres versus City of Parlier, Government Code Section 54956.9. Item number 9 is conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Reyes versus City of Parlier, Government Code Section 54956.9. Item number 10, conference with legal counsel, public employee performance evaluation, community development director, pursuant to Government Code Section 54957. Item number 11, conference with legal counsel, public employee appointment of city attorney, pursuant to Government Code Section 54957. And item number 12 has been deleted per request of Acting City Manager David Serta at the beginning of the meeting. So on to 13, conference with real property negotiators, property APN number 355-021-51S, agency negotiator on Javier Andrade, city engineer, negotiating parties Singh Sukwant, under negotiation, price Government Code Section 54956.8. So before we go into closed session, are there any, I'll defer to you, Madam Mayor.
You can ask them.
As related to any public comment on closed session.
On 13, do we had, we claiming that we don't have any money, and here we're negotiating to buy some property.
well, that's what we're discussing. So we don't have any information right now. So the question is valid and we don't know yet. So we'll get back to you if we make a decision on what we're going to do, and then you'll know for sure.
But how are you making the decisions if we don't have no money?
We don't know what,
The negotiations, we don't,
Mr.
we don't have no
Humberto,
money.
so do you know something that I don't know?
Well, you're always claiming that you know everything.
Okay, well, why are you saying that we're buying property? Is that what you're saying that we're doing?
Negotiating.
Mr. Umberto.
You're out of line. You don't even know what the subject is.
It's a discussion.
It's a discussion. Correction. Yes, it's a.
It's a discussion, but when you go into a discussion, what is the purpose of the discussion?
Thank you for your
That you don't
comments.
know yet, and we don't know yet. That's why we're going to get there. So obviously, you're making assumptions that are not valid. But thank you for your comment, and have a good day. We're going into closed session, and then we'll get back to you as soon as we're out.
And if we can take a few minutes break.
Sure.
before
Thank
we
you. Who's gonna give you an endorsement? Oh, Kathy said that they're not gonna give her an endorsement. That's true. Nothing to report, meeting adjourned.